The notification sound from my phone should have been just another mundane ping in my Tuesday afternoon, but it shattered my world in ways I never imagined possible. Maya Chen, 32 years old. Successful marketing director, supposedly loved. Sister and daughter stared at the screen with growing disbelief. The photo showed my sister Emma laughing alongside our parents, our brother Jake, Aunt Linda, Uncle Tom, and at least 15 other family members I recognized immediately. They were all gathered around a massive dining table at what looked like a mountain lodge, raising glasses in celebration. The caption read, "Best family reunion ever, so grateful for this amazing weekend together." But here's the thing that made my hand shake as I gripped my phone tighter. Emma had told me this was a girls' trip. Just her, our cousins Rachel and Sophie, and maybe a few of Emma's college friends. A simple spa weekend to reconnect and relax, nothing more. I had even helped her pick out outfits for the trip, suggesting comfortable clothes for hiking and cute pajamas for their supposed girls' nights. I had wished her well, told her to have fun, and even felt a tiny bit envious that I couldn't join because of my work deadline. But this photo told a completely different story. This wasn't a girls' trip at all. This was our family's first reunion in over 3 years, and somehow I was the only one who hadn't been invited. The only one who hadn't been told the truth. The only one sitting alone in my apartment while everyone else celebrated together. My chest tightened as I scrolled through the comments, seeing relatives I hadn't heard from in months writing things like, "So good to see everyone, and we should do this more often." My own mother had commented with heart emojis. My father had shared the photo to his own profile. How long had they been planning this? How many conversations had happened without me? How many group chats existed that didn't include my name? I set my phone down on my kitchen counter and tried to breathe normally, but the questions kept coming like waves crashing against my mind. Was this intentional? Had they deliberately excluded me? Or was this some kind of massive miscommunication? And if it was intentional, what had I done wrong? What had I said or failed to say that made my own family decide I didn't belong at their gathering? The worst part wasn't even the exclusion itself, though that cut deep enough. The worst part was the lie. Emma had looked me straight in the eye just 4 days ago and told me about her relaxing girls' weekend. She had even complained about how she needed to get away from family drama for a while. Meanwhile, she was apparently planning to spend the entire weekend surrounded by that very same family, everyone except me. I couldn't stop staring at that photo, zooming in on faces, trying to decode expressions, searching for any clue about why I had been left out. There was my cousin Rachel, who I had just texted last week about getting together soon. There was my brother Jake, who had called me 2 days ago to complain about work stress but somehow forgot to mention this massive family gathering. And there was my mother, wearing the new sweater I had bought her for her birthday last month, smiling wider than I had seen her smile in years. Each face in that photo felt like a small betrayal, but Emma's face was the one that hurt most. She looked genuinely happy, completely at ease, with no trace of guilt or discomfort about the lie she had told me. I tried calling her, but it went straight to voicemail. Of course it did. She was probably too busy enjoying her fake girls' trip to answer her sister's call. I tried calling my mother next, and she answered on the 3rd ring with a cheerful voice that made my stomach drop. "Maya, sweetheart, how are you doing?" she asked. And I could hear laughter and conversation in the background, family voices, familiar voices, voices that should have included mine. "Mom, where are you right now?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. There was a pause, and I heard her moving to a quieter area. "Oh, I'm just visiting with Emma and some family. Nothing special, just a little get-together." Another lie from my own mother. I felt something crack inside my chest, something that might have been trust or hope or the belief that my family actually cared about including me in their lives. I saw the photo, Mom. The family reunion photo that Emma posted, the one from the girls' trip that apparently included Dad and Jake and Uncle Tom and everyone else except me. The silence on the other end of the line stretched so long that I thought the call had dropped. Finally, my mother sighed, and when she spoke again, her voice was different, smaller. Guilty, Maya, honey, it's complicated. This wasn't really planned as a big thing, it just sort of happened. And we didn't want to bother you because you're always so busy with work, and we know how stressed you've been lately. Bother me, they didn't want to bother me with a family reunion, so instead of asking if I wanted to come, you all decided to lie to me about what you were doing, I asked. And I could hear my voice getting sharper despite my efforts to stay calm. It wasn't like that, my mother said, but she didn't sound convinced by her own words. Emma thought it would be easier this way, and we just went along with it. We didn't want to hurt your feelings, but they had hurt my feelings. They had hurt them in the worst possible way. The next morning brought no relief from the storm of emotions swirling through my mind. I had barely slept, replaying every family interaction from the past few months. Searching for signs I had missed, clues that might explain why I had been deemed unworthy of inclusion. I made coffee with shaking hands and checked my phone again, hoping maybe Emma had called back or sent a message explaining everything. Instead, one found 3 more photos from their mountain retreat, each one showing my family having the time of their lives without me. My phone rang while I was staring at a picture of my father and uncle playing cards, something they hadn't done since I was a teenager. It was Emma, finally returning my calls. Maya. I can explain everything, she said before I could even say hello. Her voice sounded tired, maybe even a little defensive. Can you? Because I'm really struggling to understand how a girls' trip turned into a full family reunion that somehow didn't include me. I heard her take a deep breath. Look, it started as a girls' trip. Okay, but then Mom mentioned it to Dad, and he said he hadn't seen Uncle Tom in forever, and then Jake said he could use a break from the city, and it just snowballed from there. By the time we realized how big it had gotten, we figured you wouldn't want to come anyway, because you always say you're too busy for family stuff. I say I'm busy when you invite me to things last minute or when you plan them during my work weeks, I said, feeling anger rise in my throat like bile. I have never said I'm too busy for family. I've never missed a birthday or holiday by choice. When have I ever given you the impression that I don't want to spend time with our family? Emma was quiet for a moment, and I could hear voices in the background, probably our relatives getting ready for another day of activities I wasn't invited to join. You're always working, Maya. You're always stressed about some project or deadline. We thought you'd be relieved not to have to worry about taking time off for dealing with family drama. So you made that decision for me. You decided what I would want without asking me. My voice was getting louder, and I didn't care. You lied to my face about what you were doing, and then you posted photos for everyone to see. Do you have any idea how humiliating this is? Do you understand what it feels like to discover that your entire family got together and decided you didn't belong there? That's not what happened, Emma said, but her voice lacked conviction. We love you, Maya. This wasn't about excluding you. It was just easier this way. Easier for whom? Certainly not for me. Sitting alone in my apartment, wondering what I had done wrong, questioning every relationship I thought I could count on. I drove to the mountain lodge without telling anyone I was coming. The 3-hour drive gave me plenty of time to rehearse what I wanted to say, to imagine different scenarios, to prepare for confrontation or reconciliation or something in between. But when I pulled into the parking lot and saw all their cars lined up together, my carefully planned words evaporated. through the large windows of the main lodge. I could see them gathered in the living room, playing board games and laughing. My family, having a wonderful time without me. I sat in my car for 10 minutes, watching them through the glass, feeling like an outsider looking in on a life I thought I belonged to, finally. I gathered my courage and walked to the front door. I didn't knock. I just opened it and stepped inside, and the room fell silent as every head turned toward me. The shock on their faces would have been comical if it hadn't been so painful. My mother dropped her coffee mug, and it shattered on the hardwood floor. Jake's mouth actually fell open. Emma looked like she had seen a ghost. Maya, my father said, standing up slowly, "What are you doing here?" "I came to join the girls' trip," I said. Looking directly at Emma, "Isn't that what this is, a girls' trip?" The silence stretched uncomfortably until my mother started moving toward me with her arms outstretched, ready to smooth things over the way she always did. But I stepped back. "Don't." I said quietly, "Don't hug me and pretend this is normal. Don't act like you're happy to see me when you specifically chose not to invite me." Uncle Tom cleared his throat and mumbled something about giving us privacy, and suddenly everyone was finding reasons to leave the room except for my immediate family, Emma, Jake. And my parents stood there looking guilty and uncomfortable while I stood by the door, still wearing my coat, feeling like an intruder in what should have been my own family gathering. "We can explain," my mother said softly. "We never meant for this to happen. It just got out of hand, and we didn't know how to include you without making it awkward." "Awkward for whom?" I asked. "Because I'm feeling pretty awkward right now, standing here uninvited at my own family's reunion." Jake stepped forward, running his hand through his hair the way he always did when he was nervous. "Maya, come on. You know we love you. This wasn't personal. Emma's right that you're always busy, and we thought you'd be stressed about taking time off work. Stop telling me what I think and feel," I said, and my voice came out sharper than I intended. "Stop making decisions about my life without including me in them. I'm 32 years old. I can decide for myself whether I want to attend a family gathering." The conversation that followed was unlike any we had ever had as a family. For the first time in my adult life, I told them exactly how their actions had affected me, without softening my words or worrying about keeping the peace. I explained how the lie had hurt worse than the exclusion, how discovering the truth through a social media post had made me question every relationship I thought I could trust. I told them about the sleepless night I had spent wondering what I had done wrong, about the humiliation of realizing that everyone else had been included in something I had been deliberately kept from. My parents listened with growing understanding and regret. Jake admitted that he had felt uncomfortable about the deception from the beginning, but hadn't spoken up because he assumed Emma and my parents knew what they were doing. Emma cried, which surprised me, and apologized more sincerely than I had expected. But the most important moment came when my mother looked me in the eye and said something that changed everything. "Ma, yeah, I think we've been treating you like you're too successful and independent to need family time, and that was wrong of us. We made assumptions about what you wanted instead of asking you directly, and we hurt you in the process. That stops now." They invited me to stay for the rest of the weekend, and after some hesitation, I agreed. But I made it clear that things needed to change moving forward. No more lies. No more assumptions about what I wanted or needed. No more decisions made about family gatherings without including me in the conversation. The remaining 2 days weren't perfect. There were awkward moments and conversations that felt forced. But there were also genuine moments of connection that reminded me why family relationships are war. Fighting for, we played the board games. I had watched through the window, and I beat everyone at Scrabble just like I used to when we were kids. We took new photos, real ones this time, with everyone included. Most importantly, We established new patterns of communication. Emma promised to be honest about future plans instead of creating elaborate cover stories. My parents committed to asking me directly about my availability instead of assuming I was too busy. Jake suggested we start a family group chat so everyone would be included in planning from the beginning. I drove home on Sunday evening feeling different than I had in years, not because everything was suddenly perfect, but because I had stood up for myself and demanded the respect and inclusion I deserved. I had refused to accept being treated as an afterthought in my own family, and surprisingly, they had listened. The experience taught me that sometimes the people who love us most can hurt us most deeply, not out of malice, but out of misguided assumptions and poor communication. But it also taught me that relationships can be repaired when everyone is willing to be honest about their mistakes and commit to doing better. 3 months later, when Emma suggested another family gathering, she called me first.